Hey folks, so let's take a look at a game of Orks versus Eldar, 1,000 points, and we're looking at the mission is Only War, and it's one where you accumulate points when you hold objectives, so it's pretty exciting. On the Orc side, we had two Smasher guns, not too familiar with these, so it was pretty neat seeing some unique models on the table, with some Grots manning it. We also had some Grots over here manning a Bubble Chucka, which was a really neat weapon because it's very random. So you roll the stats and you alternate choosing what the stats are. We had a Death Dread all set up back here, as well as another Death Dread behind the Morkanaut. This Morkanaut is a beast. Inside the Morkanaut, we have a, I think it's called a mech, and then we had a little flame tank that was going to be coming on the table. I had some Guardians. They were set up in a Wave Serpent. We had two groups of Swooping Hawks, so I had the Outrider detachment. Two groups of Swooping Hawks led by their Phoenix Lord, who I was actually pretty impressed with how he worked within the mission. Actually, in the game itself, he's actually pretty good. Quite surprised. We had one group of Vipers. We had the Wave Serpent there. Had some Rangers up here stationed as the Morkanaut starts moving up. And then on this side, we had our Striking Scorpions. So they're all set to go. So what happened here was the Smasher guns, basically this one moved up, this one held its position because it could see, and then the Bubble Chucka basically did the same thing. It held its position, really wasn't moving anywhere. The Death Dreads, of course, you know, why wouldn't you move them up? So they ran up in advance, because you got to get those guys into close combat as soon as possible. Morkanaut basically did the same thing too. It moved up but didn't advance and started to fire all of its weapons. We also had the little flame tank come on, and they started firing at my Rangers. There was a little bit of confusion on the rules for the Flamer, and it started to wipe out the Rangers. They should have lasted a little bit longer than they did, but essentially they did okay. Now, one thing for sure is when I position these guys, I want to essentially set up a roadblock or a road bump of some sort with the Morkanaut. That was my plan, at least, and why I positioned them there. Now, the other guys down here, we received a few shots, and we actually took 6 wounds right off the bat onto the tank. And what I've got to start to do is I got to start getting my D12s on the table and start counting down, because that's going to make life a lot easier. I didn't expect to get hit so hard, but those Morkanauts, their weapons hurt a lot. Vipers really didn't sustain anything damage-wise, and then I think we lost one of the Scorpions on this side. So they're still in a good position. Didn't have to roll, but didn't really cause any losses. So Swooping Hawks came in here, and the Scorpions moved up, as well as some more Swooping Hawks. We managed to take out one of the guns, which was good. So the Smash gun's gone. The other one is still kicking, as well as the Bubble Chucka. Tried to fire a few shots into the Morkanaut, but really didn't cause too much damage. So my plan here was to send the Swooping Hawks and the Striking Scorpions around the top of the table, and then have the Rangers hopefully slow things down just a little bit, and then consolidate these 3 guys along the bottom of the table in hopes to kind of just shoot and wear down the Morkanaut. But I wasn't causing enough damage, so I couldn't move as much as I would have liked to. Assault weapons are huge in this game, especially if they're hard hitting, because having that -1 to hit when you're moving with your heavy weapons kind of sucks. So with that said, I tried to hold that objective as best I could. These guys were sitting pretty, and then that Morkanaut really just took a few wounds, not too much. So with that said, the Morkanaut came crashing down, destroyed the Wave Serpent, knocked these guys out, and took a few shots on the Wave Serpent here, and it received a significant amount of wounds too. It was it lost 5 of them right off the bat, so that was pretty nasty. Although to really look at it, these Vipers would have been destroyed outright in the previous edition, so I'm very impressed with how resilient they are in this one. So putting assault weapons on them is definitely a good way to go, and that's what I'm trying to do with my army, is try and load it up with as many assault weapons as possible. Although they don't benefit from the battle focus a lot of the other units do within the army, and I really like the direction they're going here. So assault weapons are going to be everywhere with my Eldar. We accidentally brought the objective down with the Morkanaut here, so you'll notice it's kind of missing from up here. Death Dread moved in and ran down here. The Bubble Chukka and the Smash Gun were sitting pretty there. The little flame tank came up, flamed these guys, and just caused 2 wounds. Again, we kind of messed up with the flame rule over here, but it was it's not going to cause that big of a deal. Death Dread moved in over on this side here. These guys really didn't take any damage or anything special. The Scorpions moved in. We did cause a significant amount of wounds there, and we're just waiting to get the Swooping Hawks in. So these guys are pretty much okay. The really, the Morkanaut's sitting there getting ready to basically hold that objective for now. The Death Dread is sitting up there. What I tried to do is move the... Because they have battle focus and their assault weapons, what I tried to do is advance them, and I managed to advance them here, and they could still shoot normally. The Vipers, on the other hand, don't have battle focus, so they were having a -1 to hit, but they could still shoot after they advance because they're assault weapons. So that was why I tried to rush everything down here. My plan is to take the Guardians and hold this objective, and then later move these Vipers up into the center table to hold that one. And hopefully get a little bit of room to maneuver around rather than stay too close to that Morkanaut and get destroyed. So that was at least the plan. We did a little bit of firing here, didn't really cause any damage, but on this side, we did manage to, let's move back a second here. All right, so we did manage to kill off the Death Dread, which was very, very happy. I was very happy with that. The Swooping Hawks, and it was a combined effort. The Swooping Hawks had to move in, the Phoenix Lord had to move in, as well as the Striking Scorpions had to stay in there and take out that Death Dread, which was impressive because that was a lot of attacks, and we managed to finally do it. Actually, the Swooping Hawks were causing more damage than the actual the Striking Scorpions. Now, one thing that was unfortunate I didn't really get to test out in this game is their Manda Blasters. I really wanted to get them up to try out their Manda Blasters amongst the infantry that were holding those artillery guns, but he was really smart and sent in his Death Dread to really stop that kind of shenanigans from happening. So it was a really good idea on his part. Move the Swooping Ox here, and I tried to fire in at these Grots and cut a few of them down in regards to wounds on the gun, but didn't really inflict anything on the little guys. So how it works is those guys are a separate unit from the artillery piece, and they man it, controller or whatever, but I can't shoot at them until the gun's gone. So all of my shots have been going into the gun. So the Orcs army is really good in regards to higher toughness targets, and trying to take them out is a little bit tricky. The Death Dread moving in here, so I'm really going to have to pay attention to him once he gets a little bit closer. So I'm thinking about that. I'm not sure where to go with it, but we'll see. Again, this was a really good combat, and the results turned out really well, and I was really happy with how they managed to kill them off, although it took a lot of attacks. So tank finished off the Rangers up here. Morkanaut turned in, and he's going to dump off his mech, the Warlord, essentially. And then over here, the Death Dread moved in and pretty much killed off everybody except for one Swooping Hawk. That's okay. We're fine. We can handle them. We took out one. We can take out another one. So that's at least my hope anyways for the next turn. Really no wounds or damage except lose for the Swooping Hawks, but we did lose several of the Striking Scorpions to the previous assault and to sustained fire from the artillery piece. So that was a bit painful, at least for the Striking Scorpions. So as we see here, he was dropped out. I moved up, assaulted the Viper, caused some damage. Lots of shots moved into these Guardians. They did stay, at least, and they're holding that objective, which was good. I moved the rest of the Swooping Hawks in to try and take on the Death Dread, as well as, well, pretty much everyone moved in here. And there were wounds going back and forth, but I did lose the Phoenix Lord. The Death Dread just kind of focused all of its attacks on it and killed off the poor Phoenix Lord, which was a good idea because if the Phoenix Lord did cause wounds with his sword, it would make it a little bit more difficult for him to hit me. What happened over on this side is the Orcs were consolidating around the objective to try and accumulate more points, which was a good thing. So, Def Jed moved off after it killed everybody off. My Swooping Hawks moved over here to try and capture a few points because you need, it's measured from the center of the objective, and you own the objective when you have more units than the other, than your opponent, and that's when you can actually accumulate stuff, which was good. Down here at the bottom, it really didn't do too much except for the Morkonaut's basically there. So I sent in my Viper here to try and kill off the Warlord and try and capture this objective to accumulate a few points. Right at this point in time, we are very close in points accumulated from the various different turns and holding objectives. So that was good move on that part at least. Over here, I tried to move these guys up into the into the building, but of course didn't quite work out so well considering everyone else was killed from the Orks firing. So I essentially moved him up there. Morkonaut's pretty much moving in on him, just kind of holding that objective, and the Def Jed's moving down along the table here. I did move a Swooping Hawk Exarch up here to shoot the guys, but my luck, these Grots came in and caused a wound to my Exarch. That was just surprising. They can wound stuff, and wound stuff well. So that was a surprise and a half. So they're holding that objective there. Lost the remaining Swooping Hawks to combined fire from everybody and the assault. And then down here, we're eventually going to lose that Viper here. So really, as the game's kind of looking right now, there's going to be a significant a win once the Orks basically wipe us out. So he's doing a little bit of measuring here to see when that guy was going to die. And then I tried to move the Swooping Hawk from that combat down to here to hold that, or at least do something in that objective. Won't be able to contest it or anything, but I did try and shoot down here with it to try and get the Warlord, but the Warlord attacked the Viper, destroyed it. Morkonaut moved around the corner, destroyed that guy, and then the last Swooping Hawk was killed. So overall, hey you. One sec. So overall, it was a really good game. I really enjoyed getting the units on the table. The Morkonaut was just so hard to deal with, so I think maybe in the future I'm just going to ignore it and just focus on other units. If it's an objective game, then just try and run around the table and capture as many objectives as possible. One thing that I did really notice when it came to the Eldar is stick with your assault weapons, move fast so you can hit as best you can. We did play on 1,000 points, so we played on a 4x4 table, which I think was decent, especially for the size of the armies that resulted from 1,000 points. So anyways, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's just we're just trying to get used to the rules, and I'm really liking the way 8th is turning out. So I'm looking forward to get my Dark Eldar on the table. I'm really excited about the Harlequin. So let's see how things go. Anyways, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye now.